to it. And in about, what, 12 hours from now, the Super Eagles will already be, as they say, locking horns. Even though the Eagles don't have horns and the Black Stars don't have. But you know what I mean, that match, that World Cup playoff between the Super Eagles of Nigeria and the Black Stars of Ghana will be taking place in faraway Ghana. And this morning, we're taking a look at that match. We're previewing a sort. And to do that with us is veteran sports journalist, Mr. Deji Omotoyinbo. He joins us live in our Lagos studio. It's good to have you, Mr. Omotoyinbo.
Good to be here.
You know, some have called it the Jollof Derby. But you
don't know about that.
I mean, some are saying whoever wins...
I only know about the football.
You know, whoever wins the Jollof War. But let's start with the welcome our boys got. They literally had to jump off the plane onto that ramp. Was that a psychological thing? Really, what do you think?
As bad as Nigerians think we are, Nigeria is about the only country in Africa that doesn't resort to gamesmanship like that. Teams come here, clubs come here, national teams come here, we treat them well, we receive them well. But it's not only Ghana. It happens all the time. I think DRC doing something to Morocco now, some funny things. Shenanigans going on. You're in a hotel, some people are playing music at the door of your hotel all night. They don't want you to sleep. You know, it's prevalent in African football and it's unfortunate. I mean, you can't tell me that all the flights that came into Ghana yesterday had that kind of gangway. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's all mind games. But like I said on our radio show before the competition, Nigeria should be prepared for anything. The stakes are high. I mean, look at this. You know, they even had to literally jump off the plane. You know, the stakes are high. Ghana want to get to the World Cup. They've not been there. Nigeria has been to the last 2 World Cups. They've not been there for, I think, 2 World Cups ago. And without trying to be arrogant, on paper, we have a better team. That doesn't translate to winning on the pitch.
Exactly.
But so, and Ghanaian football is in a bad place now. So this World Cup, if they get the ticket, it would come and kind of, you know, excite them a little bit before where they are. They had a torrid Nations Cup, so it's very important to them. You
know, speaking of that Nations Cup, I mean, they got, I think, just 1 point during the group stages and they crashed out. Well, Nigeria didn't quite go as far. But, I mean, we got all our possible points during the group stages and then lost out at the next round. So they've had challenges. They had to take out their previous coach, Rajavak, and now they have Otoado, who is an assistant coach in Borussia Dortmund. So it looks like, things have changed. But when you look at our past 5 games, it would seem Ghana has the upper hand. So, really, we need to be wary, I believe.
You know, of course. Of course. A football game is 11 against 11. It's 90 minutes. In this case, it's 180 minutes because over 2 legs. And anything can happen on the day. At the Nations Cup, we were better than Tunisia, but we lost the game. Things happen. Last night, Italy got knocked out of the World Cup by North Macedonia. Italians had chance upon chance upon chance. They were blocking with their bodies. The goalkeeper made terrific saves. They scored a goal, and Italy are out. So it can happen. So you have to respect any national team. We saw at the Nations Cup, there are no small teams anymore. Like you mentioned Comoros, we saw what they did. You know, so at the end of the day, when we are doing analysis, we assess the 2 teams, and we feel that maybe this team is better than this team and is stronger, but it doesn't always work out like that. And because it's a rivalry, you know, there's something they say in football, when it comes to a local derby or rivalry, form book goes out the window. There's passion. There's emotion. There's going to be a lot of passionate fans at the stadium. There's going to be a lot of hostility towards the Nigerian team. You have to be mentally strong enough to cope with things like that over the course of 90 minutes. But I feel that because it's over, if it's one-off, it's 50-50. I feel because it's over 2 legs, and the second leg being here, I think Nigeria has a slightly better chance than Ghana, in my view.
But then there are challenges. You may want to drill down a little. One of the things that usually comes to my mind about such games as this is the identities that certain teams usually have. In your mind, you think of a Brazilian team, you know what to expect. At least somewhere in your mind, you have an idea of what to expect. An English team, you have an idea of what to expect. And there are those who have, all over the world, praised the Nigerian team for some peculiar identity. Do we have that? Is it an advantage?
That is what I think Aghahowa brought back in the first week of the Nations Cup. the three, you know, before everyone took over, a lot of us were exasperated with Gennard Raw. Super Eagles were playing, and you couldn't see a pattern, you couldn't see a style. Aghahowa brought that back, at least those 3 games: wing play, aggression, physicality, pace of attack. All of that came back, and we saw that, and we saw the good results. Of course, a bad result against Tunisia. So, Aghahowa being somebody who played through that system as a player and then became a coach, I think what he's trying to do is go back to the core strengths of Nigerian football. And we saw that in the matches that we won at the Nations Cup. For Ghana, it's a bit of a loss of identity. Ghana, similar style, you know, a lot of skillful play. Like Ghana is probably the closest to Brazil in terms of style of play in African football. But they've lost that identity for a bit. They've struggled a bit. They are not scoring goals. And before the Nations Cup, my analysis was that Ghana just don't seem to score enough. And I think they ended up scoring probably just 1 goal, if I'm not mistaken, in their group. So at the end of the day, they scored against Comoros, but they didn't do enough. You know. So at the end of the day, we have a team that, going forward, we have all kinds of options. And like I said, because it's 2 legs, you might have 1 bad game, but you get a chance to recover. That's what the 2-leg dynamism. And then there's a way goal rule still counts in Africa. It's not like UEFA that it doesn't count anymore. So I'm believing that if we stay compact, we play to our strengths, we are defensively solid. Going forward, we have a better strike force than Ghana, and I think that's what will give Nigeria the edge over 2 legs, not this one again.
And so let's talk about I mean, football is an exciting sport, right? Even though we don't get to play on the pitch.
We play with our mouths.
You think we were players, but speaking of players, we have the benefit of another view to this one, and we're being joined on the program virtually this morning by former professional footballer, international of the Super Eagles, had 32 caps, 14 goals for the Nigerian national team. A lot of people would know him, of course, by that acrobatic backflip he does. I recall the one he did against Sweden at the World Cup. Of course, that's Julius Aghahowa joining us via Zoom this morning. It's great to have you on the program. Incidentally, I was watching that goal against Sweden this morning and how you followed with 6 backflips. But let's talk about the match. You have seen the team, 25 men in Ghana. How would you rate our team?
Well, coming back from the African Cup of Nations with a superb performance, except the knockout stage where they edged us out by sheer mistake. I think we have good players in the team that can take us through these qualifiers of the World Cup. We have a group of players coming on through the national team at the moment, and we are very, very optimistic that this is not going to be a walk in the park, but we know that we are going to carry the day.
Before you joined us, we were talking about the welcome that the Super Eagles got. And I know that you've had to, play in different continents, play against different countries and club sides as well. So seeing that kind of welcome, as it were, there are different angles to this. Some say it was deliberate, some say it wasn't. What does that do to the psychology of a player? I understand that the Super Eagles had to go with their cooks, had to do their own COVID tests and all of that. But generally, how does that affect the psychology, and what should the players be focused on right now?
I think it's part of the game. Here in Africa, a lot of people will want to do a lot of things to have advantage over their opponents. So we know the tactics. I think the Super Eagles and the handlers, they also know what is at stake. So they have to cover all those angles. Psychologically, I think the players are well prepared. They know what is at stake, and that is the reason why they did that. We are prepared for this game. Luckily for us, the first leg is in Ghana and the second leg is in Nigeria. So whatever happens there, when we get back to Nigeria, we will know how to correct it.
Another, psychological instrument for me will be the welfare. Let me bring that to you, Mr. Omotoyinbo, because that can be more significant welfare, especially coming from home. We've had quite some talk around that. That's not been very pleasant, especially for not just football players, but our sportsmen generally. Speaking to this one, how would you assess the level of preparedness for the welfare of our team and everything? I mean, Kayode just said now that they had to go literally take care of certain things themselves.
You know, Nigerians, especially our administrators, they live and die for World Cups. So I'm sure they've done everything they need to do. Because one of the criticisms I have of Nigerian football is the fact that we think it's all about going to World Cups. We've been to 6 of the last 7. I don't think we've had any trickle-down effect on football development in the country. We just feel we qualify for the World Cup, we go for the World Cup, we come back, nothing improves. So for that, because of their penchant for always wanting to go to the World Cup, because they see it as an achievement, NFL presidents will write it on their CV, qualify for World Cup 2 or 3 times during my tenure, they would have pulled out all the stops to make sure nothing untoward happens. That's why they went to you mentioned their cook, their water, everything. I'm sure the Nigerian embassy in Ghana is involved. They will try and make it, and when the charter flight, the moment the match is out, over, they're getting on the plane, they're coming back, they will do it clockwork because they need to go to the World Cup. It's important to go to the World Cup. I just feel that beyond this conversation, beyond the World Cup, let's assume we qualify, the conversation has to be deeper. Okay. Because we just can't be going to the World Cup and coming back.
What are your expectations, Mr. Aghahowa, for this match? What are your peculiar expectations given the history of Nigeria and Ghana? Maybe more specifically, the Super Eagles and the Black Stars. What are your expectations, and what are the things that you would say, let's watch this space?
Well, the rivalry between the two sides has been there way back, and the players should not forget that. They should not forget that this is a walk in the park. They are going to Ghana. Those guys are not going to just let you come to their home and just defeat them like that. So they should expect some level of defense, some level of difficulties there. But at the end of the day, we want to win. You know, that's the most important thing. I expect the Super Eagles to carry the day. If you look at the players head-to-head with all the Ghanaian players and the form that they have been, Ghana coming back from the Nations Cup without performing very well, I think that is still at the back of everybody's mind. And the Super Eagles doing better. If you look at the players one-on-one, we have more players in depth. We have more players in different positions. In the strike force, we have surplus. In the defense, we have midfield, all areas. So I'm very optimistic. And I think the players also know that we want to carry the day. And I think we are going to win by a goal or 2 in Ghana. And then when we come back home, it's just going to be a true qualifier.
I love that, making the prediction 1 or 2-0. So soar Super Eagles all the way. But let's talk about something, and this takes us back. I know you started off with Bendel Insurance. So you started right here before you moved out. And there's been a lot of concern about local content in the team. Thankfully, John Noble from Enyimba had to join the team. But when you look through, you rarely find local content. And I mean, they say charity begins at home. We're still at a point where most of our stars, yes, I mean, it's football, it's an international game, but what would you say we need to do to also develop the local content part of football? I don't want to go into other sports, but football, and subsequently into the national teams.
Yes, we've been clamoring for that for quite some time now. And you remember when we had Roa as the coach, he did not want to bring in the Nigerian players playing in Nigeria. I don't want to use the word local. He didn't want to do that because probably he was afraid of losing, or afraid that, maybe if he had those players in the team, it might affect the performance of the team. So, but we've been clamoring for that. And luckily for now, we have our homegrown coaches, with the best experience, best hands handling the team now. Aghahowa is there, Amonike is there, Yobo is there, and all of the rest people. And with that experience, most of them they played in Nigeria, they played to the highest level. And I'm very sure we are going to start seeing the homegrown players in the national team, because that alone will also improve our league. It will also boost the players' confidence. The players that are playing in the Nigerian league will boost their confidence. To know that, okay, if they do well, definitely they will get a call-up. I think it's very important for national team to have homegrown players.
Mr. Omotoyinbo, having the technical crew being local content, as it were, or Nigerian content now, does that make up for not having as much players from the local league in the team?
Well, it's a kind of balance. And like Julius said, I think some of us have been clamoring for it for a while because we feel it helps the local game. But I think the fear of losing, or you want to play your best legs and all of that. But a football game, 24 players won't get on the pitch. Probably 14 or 16 if it's 5 substitutes. So there is a need to use the national team and the attraction of the national team to try and trickle down effect to develop the local game. The local coaches, the advantage is that they have a passion for the country. They want to do well
so it's
because they know what it
them.
means. For some of the foreign coaches at times, it's business. Quote unquote mercenary. You know, they just come here, they milk the money, they go. They are not concerned about development of the game. Gennaro hardly concerned himself about, even when local coaches, local players were invited to the team, some of them said he hardly talked to them because he really doesn't care about it. But with an Aghahowa, with an Amunike, people who develop the
but that's not really his fault. He's not the one to develop our local game.
But you should be interested in it. Not that you now invite a local player to the national team. Maybe you will, and you don't even talk to him. That's totally disrespectful. And he was doing that, and players were complaining that anytime they get the national team, because I think it was the media kind of forced his hand. So it's like, okay, I've invited you now, you're your own. You know, we have to, because no country develops its football from the top. You have to develop it from the base of the pyramid. Super Eagles is the very top. And I think we're concentrating too much on that. So I agree with him. We need to have somebody called local league players in our national teams as a policy because it helps develop the game locally.
Just one more for Julius Aghahowa. And this one is a detour, really, but it's been in the news. It's a season of politics, and those who think that sports people should not be seen around politicians or maybe should be seen. What do you have to say in the midst of all of that controversy about, you know, having sports people be associated with political figures?
Well, if you look at the sports scene in Africa, not just in Nigeria, I still know that sports is still under the hands of politicians. They are the ones sponsoring football and other sports. And so if people are clamoring for footballers or sportsmen not to be associated with politicians, I don't know where, you know, they will get the funds to participate in competitions or to get involved. If you look at the leagues in Nigeria, all the club owners most times are sponsored by the state government. So how is that going to be possible at the moment? Or maybe in the future, maybe when companies, private individuals, you know, get involved in sports, definitely that would be the way forward. You know, we are clamoring for that, but a lot of people are not involved, especially the private companies. They are not involved in sports at the moment. So if they do that, then the government will hands off, and then we can have a smooth run.
I think that's a fine place to leave it. I'm tempted to ask, when last did you do your flips? If you still do them, you know, but he's an old man. I'm sure you beg to differ, Julius. But we'd like to thank you so much for your thoughts on the program this morning. I wish the Super Eagles the very best. I mean, Julius Aghahowa, former professional footballer, ex-Super Eagles player, known for his acrobatic backflip. By the way, that's one of the best celebrations, even by football pundits around the world. Thank you so much, as well as Mr. Deji Omotoyinbo, who is a veteran sports journalist. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me.
Well.